What up, everybody? It's your boy Cardinal Red, and we're back for another one. All right, y'all. So today's the topic of today is gonna be Andre Ward says Manny Pacquiao should gracefully bow out. One more fight. All right, y'all. So I got to shout out Punch Drunk Boxing. I ran across his video speaking on a similar topic. So shouts out to Punch Drunk, man. Basically, Andre Ward feels like, Manny Pacquiao's 42 years old. It's time for him to gracefully bow out of the sport. He has nothing else to prove. I feel like this, man. Right now, I'm trying to keep this air low, man, but it's hot out here. Right now, you got three trains of thought going on right now. You have the train of thought that, the Ugas fight shouldn't have went down the way it did, and Manny Pacquiao deserves another shot. Then you have the train of thought of Manny Pacquiao's just too old. He needs to leave the sport. And then you have people that are kind of like stuck on the fence about how they feel. They like Manny Pacquiao, but for safety reasons, they might want to see him retire. And I'm the type of guy who says, the U Guys fight shouldn't have came about the way it did. There was a lot of fishy stuff. I put out a video like 2 weeks before the fight saying I felt like it was a setup. I feel like they were trying to diminish Manny Pacquiao's legacy, beat him, and get him out of the way of Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford. That was my point of view on it. And then when I heard Punch Drunk's point of view on the topic, he was basically saying that I guess he's kind of like on the fence about it. Manny Pacquiao's a legend, man, and like he said, he's a freak of nature, and here's the thing. Nobody should tell Manny Pacquiao when to leave the sport. Nobody told Andre Ward he had to retire. Everybody wanted Ward to continue fighting. He made the choice to retire. Similar to Mayweather. Mayweather felt like his body couldn't take it anymore. He made the decision to retire. Now everybody's with the push, such a big media and social media push to get Manny Pacquiao to retire. It really seems set up at this point. I can't really sit here and say that these people didn't set Manny Pacquiao up for failure. I put out my videos referencing my points of why I feel like they set him up for failure. But, with all this stuff going on, the big media push, all these social media people, trying to push Manny Pacquiao out of the sport, even though, and the whole preference of their argument is, well, he's just too old. But here's the thing about it. Yordenis Ugas never had Pacquiao really in trouble in that fight. He never knocked him down. He never knocked him out. There was no point where you felt like he was going to get knocked down or out. There was some looping punches that landed that probably shouldn't have landed. And if Pacquiao was his normal self, that would have never landed. And I feel like this, we can't push a Manny Pacquiao out of the sport. Manny Pacquiao is a legend and is probably one of the greatest fighters we've seen in this generation and perhaps in the last generation, for him to be going so long and still competing with these younger fighters. So we can't push him out of the sport. Manny Pacquiao has to say definitively for himself, it's my time to go. I'm ready to leave on this performance. I don't, in my eyes, as a Pacquiao fan, as a boxing fan, I don't think that was the proper performance for Pacquiao to leave the sport on. Especially if what he's saying is true about his legs cramping up. That's not. It's not fair for them to have given Manny Pacquiao, a legend, in the sport, that fight in that way with only a certain amount of preparation time for his opponent. Championship level fighting deserves a championship level preparation. It doesn't matter that you were already training for 4, 5, 6 weeks, because you wasn't training for that specific athlete. You were training for somebody completely different, and then you got thrown into a fight. Now that you were outmatched, you wasn't outmatched, but you wasn't 100% prepared for it. I would say it that way. He wasn't 100% prepared for you guys, and he overtrained with his legs, with too much running. It's coming out now. That some things that Captain Full G put out there about the massage, about him running all those miles prior to the fight, about him only having 10 minutes to prepare for the fight, to stretch and everything. It's just way too much BS that's now coming out about this fight for Pacquiao to say, man, this is my last performance in boxing. There's no way that should be Manny Pacquiao's last performance in boxing. For Andre Ward to even hint at that Pacquiao should retire, it should be beneath him. For the way he left the sport, he should never criticize anybody for their timing of leaving the sport. And whether it's Manny Pacquiao coming back and getting knocked out by Yordenis Ugas, and he decides that that's the way he wants to leave the sport, or it's Manny Pacquiao coming back and defeating Yordenis Ugas, and perhaps getting to move on to an Earl Spence or Terence Crawford, and that's the way he leaves the sport. It's up to Manny Pacquiao. I don't ever want to be the guy trying to edge Manny Pacquiao in any one direction, because I don't feel like that's fair. I feel like he's hit such a pivotal point in his boxing career. It's only up to Pacquiao to decide when it is finally over with. And I don't think it's time for that yet. I think it's going to be, it might be another year, especially even if he doesn't run for presidency. If he decides, hey, I want to, just stay a senator for another year, and maybe in 4 years I run for the presidency, then I think we're going to actually get that Earl Spence Jr. fight. I think we're going to get this Yordenis Ugas rematch. You're going to get to see the real Manny Pacquiao come to life, and you're going to get to see the fight we all wanted to see in the first place, and the fight we all should have got in the first place, which is Manny Pacquiao versus Earl Spence Jr. And if Spence beats him, Spence deserves all the credit and all the accolades. Just like Yordenis, you guys got all the credit and all the accolades for taking that fight and beating Pacquiao. Whether there's some doubt of how close to 100% Pacquiao was or not, Yordenis, you guys got the W, so that's all that matters. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't diminish what you guys accomplished, but we want to see the best Manny Pacquiao. We want Pacquiao's last fight for him to leave on the best note possible. Whether that's a win or a loss, we want him to say, hey, that's the very best that I can do. I can't get any better. There's nothing I could have changed in sparring. This is just it. I got beat fair and square. And at this moment in time, right now, I can't say that last fight was fair and square. Now, with that being said, it wasn't completely fair and square for you guys either. You guys had to take the fight on short notice as well. You guys had to fight Manny Pacquiao, the legend, and the Duck Generation killer on short notice too. It just so happens, he didn't have the misfortune that Manny Pacquiao had with the leg cramps. Now they're saying that he tore his bicep or something went on with his bicep. I've never actually heard Yordenis Ugas speak about it personally, but he speaks a different language. So unless I saw an interpreted interview, I wouldn't. He might not have brought that up. In some of his other interviews, he might have brought it up, but I haven't seen any yet. But me personally, I feel like this fight. Sorry about that, man. My throat is dry, man. It's hot out here. I ain't got no water. I feel like this fight definitely deserves to be ran back for both fighters. Let both fighters say they were 100%, and let one guy get the victory and be able to raise his hand with dignity, because the other guy has no excuses. If they do run it back, there's no excuses in that fight. If Pacquiao wins, no excuses for you guys. If you guys wins, no excuses for Pacquiao. But here's the thing. if Pacquiao does win that rematch, does he have to run it back for you guys? Because here's the problem I had with this in the first place. This is why I call it a setup fight, is because the longer this plays out, the more fights PBC gets to get, the more money they get to make off Pacquiao. So it's all funny and fishy, man. Does Pacquiao have to run it back to you guys then? Or does he get to go straight into an Earl Spence fight? I guess it would be how he beat you guys. If he knocks you guys out or beats them up pretty bad, then I guess he don't have to run it back. But if there are any question marks, we could possibly see Pacquiao, you guys, the trilogy. And then what goes on with that Earl Spence fight, you don't know. It might have been in their plan to play it out like that as well, to try to get Manny Pacquiao further and further and further along in his career, in their mind, deteriorating more and more, getting older and older and older. And by the time he does get Crawford or Spence, he's only a shell of himself. You know, we already had to wait on the shelf for 2 years to even get a Pacquiao fight. So we don't have much more time to sit around and waiting these things. That's why I feel like Crawford and Spence are ducks. And this is my last point. You guys are young. You guys are in the prime of your life. And you're sitting around not only waiting for each other to slip to try to call the other one out, but you're sitting around waiting for a 42-year-old, 43-year-old legend to show some sign of slippage before you call him out. Or hey, maybe you don't even call him out. If he gets beat bad enough, you can just bypass him altogether and say, well, we never had to fight him because he was already past his prime. It's ridiculous. You know, this new generation is setting themselves up for failure. Pacquiao's still a legend. I don't agree with Andre Ward. Shouts out Punch Drunk Boxing. I agree with a lot of what you said. I haven't watched a lot of your videos. You got a kind of weird way of doing your boxing talk, babe. Works for you. I salute you. You my brother. I ain't got nothing bad to say about you. But I haven't watched a lot of your videos, but I did want to touch on this topic. So I got to shout out Punch Drunk Boxing because he was the first to do the topic, man. Where we at, man? Where we at? See if y'all can see that. Linview Stadium, soccer stadium, Lou City, man. You know what I'm saying? They got actually a little practice field right there. I want to go kick the ball around one day. Maybe I'll take y'all with me. You know what I'm saying? Just kick the ball on that little soccer field. I'm trying to win that car over here. You dig? It's your boy Cardinal Red. That like button for me. Please subscribe. Tell a friend, share, all that good stuff. It's your boy, and we are out of here.